Hey there, everyone. Welcome back to Utility Sports with a brand new series I want to present on the channel called This to That. And we're going to look at a series of NBA trades or, some vital NBA trades throughout NBA history that have really reshaped, revitalized franchises and really have changed the direction that they're headed in. And I think there's no better team to start with than Oklahoma City. Of course, Sam Presti, one of the experts when it comes to making trades across the NBA. You think about a trade, you think about maybe Danny Ainge and Sam Presti. Those are the two guys that really come to mind. Of course, there's others around the league that have made great trades as well. But those two seemingly always get the better end of the bargain when it comes to making some moves. So we're going to look at a series of moves here that really ultimately shaped Oklahoma City and led from Serge Ibaka being on the Oklahoma City Thunder to now where they currently sit with a ton of draft picks and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. If this is something you do enjoy, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Also leave a like. It goes a long way in letting me know that you're enjoying this type of content. Again, something different, but something I really hope that our usual viewers or regular viewers tune into and enjoy watching this one. I know I have a lot of Oklahoma City Thunder fans. So what was the first move? What really was the pinball that started this? And in my opinion, it was an attempt to keep Kevin Durant. This came on draft night, pretty much right before his free agency, a couple days before his impending free agency, where of course we know he ultimately left to go to the Golden State Warriors. But I think this first move kind of came in an attempt to keep Kevin Durant in Oklahoma City. And Sam Presti was trying to pull out all the stops for this one. And I remember on draft night when this trade went down, I could not believe the value Oklahoma City got in this deal. Of course, at the time, they traded away Serge Ibaka, who was one of the best rim protecting players in the league. Of course, had found a ton of success playing next to Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant in Oklahoma City. Famously, we all know that he was the player that Sam Presti ultimately chose to keep over James Harden. Now, Sam Presti hasn't done everything perfectly, but this trade right here is pretty darn near perfect. I just couldn't believe it. Orlando acquired Serge Ibaka, and OKC in return got Victor Oladipo, who a few years earlier was the second overall pick in the NBA draft. They also got Ersan Ilyasova for money purposes. And they got draft rights to a first-round pick that year. That first-round pick ended up becoming Domantas Sabonis, which is a really, really good combination of players to get for Serge Ibaka, who at that point of his career, we kind of knew what he was, right? And Orlando was trying to build this big, tall, lengthy lineup that could switch and defend. They were trying to be one of the first of their kind when it comes to that. And OKC took advantage of it by getting a really dynamic young scoring guard in Victor Oladipo, who Sam Presti knew Kevin Durant was a fan of and wanted to potentially play with, as well as getting a draft pick here in a deal in Domantas Sabonis. We obviously know how he's panned out in the NBA. And I think it's a good sign that, first of all, Sam Presti was able to identify that talent and did a good job acquiring these two players, which we'll see them again a little bit later on in the video, which is why this video is so fun for me to record, because a lot of these pieces end up getting redealt later on. Then another deal he made. Again, this is pretty much the first or second week into the season in 2016. He actually trades for Jerami Grant, giving up a 2020 first-round pick, which is top 20 protected. You think at this time, Philadelphia is kind of in the heart of trust the process. They also take in Ersan Ilyasova for the first time. So it's kind of funny. Ilyasova goes to Philadelphia. He did not last long there in Oklahoma City. 2020 first-rounder, top 20 protected, goes out. And OKC finds a guy in Jerami Grant who was really valuable for them kind of during this tenure. And it kind of goes to show the flexibility of Sam Presti as a GM, whether it comes to making winning moves or selling moves and kind of being able to rebuild and reshuffle his pieces whenever he feels like. This is a clear buy move, right? He sends out a future protected first-round pick in a deal to Philadelphia, and he gets Jerami Grant to kind of replace some of those minutes from Kevin Durant, who obviously at this point is now in Golden State. He looks at the roster and says, we need a forward really badly. He goes out and spends a draft pick to do it, to build around Russell Westbrook, Victor Oladipo, now Domantas Sabonis as well. So they add in some forward play here with Jerami Grant, but no one's safe. I think the best indication of that is those two players we saw them acquire in June of 2016 in the Serge Ibaka trade. Victor Oladipo and Domantas Sabonis are now also gone. So all three pieces they acquired in Ilyasova, Oladipo, and Sabonis are out the door already a year and a couple weeks later. And this is the big one, right? This is one of those big, huge moves. They acquire Paul George. I remember exactly where I was when this trade went down. I was actually in my car with my co-creator on the channel here. Him and I were driving around. This is way before we started YouTube. We started YouTube toward the end of 2020. This is about 3 years earlier. I was still in high school, or freshly out of high school, actually, at the time that this happened. And I was mind blown by it. I thought, wow, Oklahoma City got such a great deal. Obviously, with hindsight, Indiana did fairly well with this as well because Oladipo took a big step forward in his early time in Indiana. And then Sabonis, of course, ended up growing into a very nice player. Could almost have a spin-off here of Indiana because Sabonis ends up turning into Tyrese Halliburton later for them, which is, funny to see how this trade kind of impacted everything that way as well. But with where they're at, I thought OKC did a great job with this deal. Obviously, Thunder fans probably felt that way as well. Sam Presti clearly felt comfortable. And he went out and got a star in Paul George, who, he paired with Russell Westbrook, later added Carmelo Anthony. They still had Jerami Grant and Steven Adams at this point. So, there was a lot of expectations on that Oklahoma City Thunder team to go far. They did not end up going as far, which is why there were some reshuffling of the deck. And this is the one I'm really mad at myself for. July 8th, 2019, I highlighted that date up in the top left corner. I should have had the insight and I should have had the intuition at this time to realize what was about to happen. And I'm really frustrated that I didn't, because right before this, the Clippers had continuously been making moves as well, trading for more draft capital. They traded away some pieces. A lot of guys went out the door, and they found themselves in a spot with extra draft capital that they could trade away. And somehow I missed it because Oklahoma City here signaled what was about to happen. You see Jerami Grant gets rerouted for a 2020 first round pick. Remember that they gave up a first round pick in 2020 to get him initially, which again shows very good competence from Sam Presti to trade for a guy and find even better value a little bit later on, trading him away a couple years later. So you get those years of service from him, and then you get to reroute him and still get your value back in a trade, which is really good. But again, like I said, the alarm bells should have been going off for me, and they just ultimately weren't. Again, this is before I started covering trades on YouTube here, and just somehow I missed it. I just did not see what was about to happen coming, but this was the big signal from Oklahoma City that they were about to send some ripples through the NBA world, and it was the big trade. 2 days later, July 10th, 2019, this happens at about 3 in the morning Central Time. It's about 1 a.m. Pacific Time. Absolutely crazy when this deal went down. Shook the NBA world even that late to the night. I remember just how crazy everything was. My co-creator is actually a Clippers fan, so his team was right at the center of this, obviously, and this is where we see this to that. Paul George, who was acquired back in the day for Domantas Sabonis and Victor Oladipo, who was acquired for Serge Ibaka. We've seen a huge, thread of trades here centered around Paul George ultimately landing with the Los Angeles Clippers, where he still currently is. But the best player in the deal ended up going to Oklahoma City. Had I recorded a video that night, I would have said I don't really care about the draft picks. Up to this point, the draft picks I don't think have played as big of a role as a lot of people would have expected on draft night. I think that was most people's big takeaway. For me, having watched about 50 or 60 of the Clippers games that season, after a rookie year of Shai that was very, very good, and they actually won 2 games, against the Golden State Warriors with a healthy Kevin Durant that postseason. I was really all in on Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Now, has he outperformed my expectations? Yes, of course. I did not see him being a 30-plus point per game scorer, but I thought he's going to be a 20-7 type of guy, and that's a really valuable player to have. They traded him away, and he was the big, wow, imagine if they were able to trade away Jerome Robinson instead of Shai in that deal. That's what I continuously had said that offseason to my buddy who's a Clippers fan. And this has really reshaped where the Oklahoma City Thunder are at. Again, if you rethink the trades, it's Serge Ibaka goes out the door for Domantas Sabonis, Victor Oladipo. Then A year later, Victor Oladipo, Domantas Sabonis get rerouted to Indiana for Paul George. And then 2 years after that, almost to the day, right? 2 years and 4 days later, and a year after signing an extension, Paul George gets traded then to LA for Shai, Danilo Gallinari, and as you can count them there, a crap ton of first-round picks, 7 of them to be exact, which is absolutely insane. Kind of, re-shook the whole deck for Oklahoma City in the span of 4 or 5 years. You think about that, Serge Ibaka trade back in 2016. That feels so long ago already. And now, 2019 again now feels so long ago as well. It's pretty crazy that we're almost 4 years removed from this trade, and with how things have played out, I'm sure the Clippers are happy that they've at least made a conference finals. But you think about Sam Presti's genius. I wonder what those discussions looked like. Was Sam Presti all in on Shai, or was it hey, we need a good young player, and Jerome Robinson was less proven at that point? Clearly, Shai was the starting point guard for that Clippers team his rookie season. So was that just kind of a no-brainer? Hey, he's got to be in here. Was Sam Presti fighting tooth and nail to make sure they got him? Was he the centerpiece of the trade, or was it the draft capital? I would have loved to have at least listened into some of those conversations between, Jerry West, Lawrence Frank, and Sam Presti to see kind of what that discussion was like. Obviously a lot of Thunder fans are going to say, oh, of course Sam Presti knew that Shai was going to become what he is. But honestly, just even with how high I was on him at the time, I don't think anyone, to be honest, saw this out of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. But it's really fun to kind of recount this story. And with the Thunder, one thing I'm going to have to say, they've made one playoff appearance since trading away Paul George. Of course, it was with Chris Paul the 1 year he was there in Oklahoma City. But they've chosen their direction, and they found some luck in the lottery as well. Of course, moving up to number 2 last year in the draft lottery to land Chet Holmgren. They did a very good job in that draft. Of course, we haven't seen Chet make his NBA debut at the time I'm recording this quite yet, but I think once he does, they're going to be in a really, really good position moving forward. And who knows, maybe they get a little lucky in this year's draft, and there's a guy named Victor Wembanyama out there who, of course, is very intriguing to a lot of teams. And I have an NBA mock draft up on the channel that I would really recommend going and checking out. If you like this video, I really appreciate you. Thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate you guys taking some of your time out of your day. If you did enjoy recounting this trade history between Sam Presti, the Oklahoma City Thunder, and other various teams around the NBA, please leave a like on it. I would love to see if there's a lot of support for this type of series, because it would be definitely something I'm willing to continue as long as you guys enjoyed it. Let me know in the comment section down below. And until next time, we'll catch you in the very next Utility Sports video.